Okay, friends, I don't know why I have been dragging my feet to film this video, but I think partly it's intimate and we used to share so much. And I know for those of you who've been following us for a very long time, sometimes it feels like, wow, like you guys are so different from when you first started YouTube. And I remember I used to follow a certain family pretty religiously, and I remember thinking, wow, they've changed a lot. And then we started YouTube, and I got it. And I hate to say this, but life experiences form you. But some hurtful things got said through our long journey. I remember a lot of people praising and being super excited that I was miscarrying. And those kind of things stick with you and you become a little bit less vulnerable. So I'm only saying all of that. Maybe that's why I drag my feet a little bit more in sharing some of the intimacies of our life. And it takes me meeting up with people or running into some of you out and about and hearing your story that reminds me of why we share. And what I love about sharing is being able to encourage people and help them feel like they're not alone. Because when it comes to infertility, if you haven't been through it, it really stinks. And you don't wish it on your worst enemy. It's just something I wish no one had to walk through. So all of that to say, when you watch somebody on YouTube, a lot of times they have to develop a thicker skin. And that was definitely me through our years of sharing. And so I still want to share and encourage people, but we're also dreaming of different possibilities or opportunities so we can facilitate that dream a little bit better, which is to pour into people and to encourage people, and specifically people going through infertility, but also marriage and families, and there's just a lot. So that being said, more to come hopefully soon, but I want to jump in and share. This video is sharing our 3 months post varicocele surgery and to see where we're at. So a little history. We have been going through infertility for a decade, and we first got diagnosed with male factor infertility, and ours is very severe. So with the numbers, it is impossible without a miracle to conceive without IVF. And through our journey of infertility, we did find that I have endometriosis, but unless Phillip was in the normal range, we wouldn't know, could we conceive naturally? We wouldn't know. Maybe I would prevent us from being able to conceive naturally, but the foundation bottom line is that with Phillip's numbers, we would not be able to conceive naturally. And so we did a lot of natural treatments early on before we jumped to the fertility doctor. And I would say the thing that helped the most was probably the herbs from the acupuncturist and his cooling methods that were recommended. And he was able to get his count a little bit closer to normal. A couple of times it went above normal, and he was able to improve his motility up to 10%. Motility was the highest that we ever had, but normally it was like 4, 6, 8%, and we had up to 10%, I think was the highest. So just the background is that we had a very significant male factor infertility. And early on, Phillip went to the urologist appointment without me, and I wish I would have been there. But he pretty much was saying, if you're going to spend the money, don't do the varicocele surgery, do IVF. That's going to be your best bet for your money. And at the time, we were on a very, very tight budget. And so we didn't even know if we could afford fertility treatments at the time, let alone the surgery. And then that wasn't even close to being guaranteed. The varicocele surgery has a big range of successes. So because the varicocele surgery isn't guaranteed either, I guess in that appointment, he pretty much told Phillip, don't do it. And then we went back to him right before we did a second round of IVF, and we did end up getting to experience a full-term pregnancy with our third daughter, Cassidy. But right before that IVF, he said, you should do the varicocele surgery. And we're both like, what? And my husband has bilateral varicoceles, which means on both testes around the scrotum, imagine a varicose vein that you can see on people's leg. It's just in a more sensitive region. And so that creates a lot of blood flow, and that higher blood flow creates a lot of heat. And what they have concluded is those varicoceles can affect fertility because it's creating this very hot environment, and the sperm don't do well, and resulting in very significant male factor infertility. Now, there's a whole range of varicoceles also, from not so bad to really bad. And I can't remember the exact number, but his were either one below very bad or possibly very bad, maybe one below, I think. But it was on both sides. Usually it's only on one side. It's not on both, which I think is sometimes why doctors will say, don't worry about it. It's probably not a big deal. Don't worry about doing the surgery. Well, being on both sides, it's a little bit more significant. So we went and had a semen analysis back in September of last year, and his numbers came back pretty significantly low. His motility was 0, which we had never had before, and his count was actually normal. It was 77 million total, but his concentration was low. I would have to look back on the exact numbers, but I'm giving you the gist because it technically doesn't matter. And I'm trying to give specific with numbers because I know when I was researching, I'm guessing most of you that are watching probably are not our regular subscribers that are watching our new homestead journey or maybe our infertility journey, but you're looking for exact information for should your husband or your significant other or yourself have this varicocele surgery, and what are the possible improvements that you could see. I've looked everywhere. I feel like I've Googled and looked at all the forums, and it just feels like there's not a lot. But what I love about sharing on YouTube is I've gotten the opportunity to have people comment, even since Phillip having the surgery, and sharing that their husband's surgery was successful and then they were able to conceive naturally. And that's so encouraging to hear. So it would be a dream if that could be our story to encourage, but backtrack to where we're at. Okay, so he had his test done, and the numbers were not very good in September. And then starting in January, we tried to start the process of getting his cardiologist to clear him doing an outpatient surgery. Long story short, the two offices were not communicating very well, and so it postponed it. We ended up doing an IVF transfer that ended up failing, and we did not conceive. And then we felt like, see, we should have tried to get him into surgery sooner, but what was done was done. So he had surgery back in April. And so 3 months after, we did a follow-up test. It was actually technically 85 days because for insurance to cover the retesting, it had to be within 90 days. And so they rushed him in and got him in at the 85-day mark. So a little bit shy of 3 months. And it takes, usually they say like 75 to 90 days to see changes in the sperm from when it starts growing to it being fully mature. And being 85 days, I feel like, well, I'm just letting you know, if you have little ones around, you might just not want to watch this video. even though you know me very well, I try to stay very G-rated, but still, I'm like, wouldn't want to turn this video on with my kiddos around. But he was very swollen, just to be way too graphic. So the idea of 3 months later is only like, well, yeah, that's 3 months later, but it's 3 months later after like being really swollen. So I almost feel like 3 months after is the start to see what's going on. That's at least my heart. And I had very low hopes, that feeling like if there is even any change, and if there's no change, I'm not going to think that it could never get better. They told me that 3 months after the surgery is just to see, is there even any improvement? Are we even going to see improvement? And so now I'm going to try to timestamp this video, because I know when you're out there looking for infertility stuff, you just want the information and you want it now, and I get it. You don't necessarily want to sit and listen to how long is this video? 20, 30 minutes? Maybe 15. Maybe I was short-winded, but I understand. You probably really want the exact information really quick and see exactly at 3 months-ish what were our results. I will tell you in the different frames. Well, I will first tell you off the bat. He is not normal after 3 months, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been hopeful. I mean, people always ask, well, are you trying? Yeah, we've been trying for a decade. We've never not tried. Even with like anything going on, it doesn't matter. There's no like, oh, we shouldn't try like the next couple of months. We've just never even thought about it. We never had to worry about it, never thought about it, and have never naturally conceived. So, okay, let's get to this. My husband has never, in any of his semen analysis, and I'm thinking he's had and not including IUIs. When you do an IUI, they are pretty much checking the sperm. So we had semen analysis done for all of those as well. He has never had a normal concentration, ever. Meaning they want a certain number of sperm per milliliter, and they want over 20 million in each milliliter. Well, sometimes we didn't even have 20 million sperm in the entire sample. So per ml. So our first pretty exciting news was that he got his very first normal concentration. It was 31.8 million per milliliter. And his total sperm was 210 million. The most he ever had was when we were doing that acupuncture, and to be totally frank and honest, sometimes I feel like that acupuncturist might have was in good cahoots with the place that they sent us to do a semen analysis, because I felt like it felt a little bit too good to be true. But he had like a couple normal, but he has never had 210 million. And when we checked back in September, it was 77 million. And that was really actually high for him. That was one of his highest numbers he's ever had. But his total went up to 210. Now, his motility is still where we are at, and I'm just praying that he was still so swollen and it made it hard for the sperm to get out, is what I'm hoping. And so yes, by the time they got out, they were like, I'm not moving anymore. I'm just too tired. That was too big of a journey, and I'm done. However, it went from 0 motile to having 6% motility. Now, only 2% was progressive moving. The 4% were in place. So that's not great. That means only 2% of 200 million sperm were moving in a progressive way, which is not even high enough to do an IUI. They told me that ideally you would want more than 20 million total, maybe 10 million total. Maybe it was 10. They said you can do it with whatever. It's up to me. If I wanted to try an IUI, they would be fine with that, but just the recommendation. And I know our old doctor, there were some times where they could do an IUI and they were successful with only 500,000 sperm. Now, is that normal? No. Is it typical to get pregnant with that? Probably not. So right now, I'm hoping that, I don't know, guys, here now I'm being honest and trying to kind of share like I used to. It would be so great if we could conceive at least just through an IUI and not have to do IVF. And then morphology, he was normal, which was 4%, which they want 4% or greater in morphology. Morphology is kind of like all the research that I've done over the years, there's kind of a and ha over how important the morphology is. But I do know some people have done IVF because they did not have a good morphology, and they did end up choosing IVF to conceive. So I'm hoping for those of you who are just out searching for hope, we did see a change. So is it possible for you to do a varicocele surgery and see no change? Yes. Is it possible to have a varicocele surgery and see total healing? Yes. I would be so grateful for anybody who is here from our community or stopping by that has gone through varicocele surgery or experienced it or knows somebody and can share the results. Now, I'm scared to get a lot of results of people saying it didn't work, but that's the reality. We need to accept that and learn the information that's out there. And but there are going to be some hopeful stories, hopefully down in the comments of, no, we went through it and it worked. And maybe it didn't work until 6 months. Maybe it didn't work until 18 months. I've heard that a lot, where it's after a year after the surgery that they finally got these better results. So at 3 months, is that the end of the story? No, but we also don't want to try to wait forever. So we are going to probably see where we're at the 6 months, but I have a secret. We had that first semen analysis paid for, and we are going to pay for another semen analysis at the 4.5 month mark. And so I was just trying to figure out how it was going to line up with my cycles. I was trying to lean towards maybe 5 months and not have to wait the whole 6 months. And plus I mostly wanted to see what did it look like after the swelling came down, and what would be the 3 months or the 90 days, a full 90 days after the swelling came down. So I will share that. Honestly, guys, I do believe that God can do miracles, and that can be your belief, or it doesn't have to be. But where I'm coming from, I am going to stand firm and on my belief, knowing that if God wants to allow us to conceive naturally, He can let that happen. Is He going to do that for us? I don't know. It's hard to stand on that faith when it's been 10 years of not conceiving, but I am hopeful that this varicocele surgery has helped and maybe will improve our numbers enough, but I don't know. I truly don't know what the future holds. So we can get rechecked. We will be getting rechecked, and from there we will have to decide, do we wait until the 6 month mark to make a decision, or at the 4.5 month mark do we decide to either move forward with IUI, move forward with IVF. So since we did the 3 month check, I bought my husband, so that the other thing that my husband was on when we improved our numbers way before we even did IUI, we improved our numbers, then slacked off, didn't do anything, and then we tried IUIs, and then our numbers were back down in the toilet. So it would have been good if we would have done IUI when we were doing our natural option. By the way, if you guys are curious in natural fertility options, I know they didn't work for us, but they work for a lot of people. I am curious, are you guys interested in that? I can do a video on all the male factor natural treatments that we did. They're pretty intimate, so I almost feel like I'd like to maybe set up an email, or we are getting our email list put together, and so maybe eventually we can sign up for that, and then you can sign up for that specific email. So it, I know it's just a very intimate, private treatment, but let me know if you are curious on hearing what are the natural treatments for male factor infertility that we did a long time ago, and we did see results. We did see improvement, but one of them was we started taking Fertilade. And so I bought my husband the pack again, the 3 month pack, and he didn't take them. He was like, well, you didn't lay them out for me. And so no, now he is taking full responsibility, and he has been taking them religiously since we did our 3-month test. So it'll only be 6 weeks of him being on the Fertile Aid supplements, but we did see an improvement with that. So I am hopeful that that will also help improve his motility, and maybe, guys, maybe. It is hard. For those of you who follow us on our homestead journey, we have gotten a dairy cow this year, and we are obsessed with her. I love her. Like, she is just my absolute favorite. She is due in November, and it's so interesting because we would have had probably a similar due date if our first transfer earlier in February would have worked. And so it's strange to think, well, I thought that maybe I would have been pregnant this year, but I'm not. And this is where the vulnerability gets hard, because no matter what I share, no matter how much I say, I am obsessed with our family and I love the girls that we have. And if this is all we have, we know we are so blessed, because we do get to experience so many people's stories, and they share with us. And maybe they're still in the empty arms phase, which to me is the hardest stage to be in, where you want to be a mom, but you still have empty arms. I get a lot of stories of people with secondary infertility, and they get poo-hooed, and people act to them like their pain doesn't matter because they already have a child and they should just be grateful. And it is so rude. I'm just gonna say it. It's rude to just disregard someone's feelings because you think they should be feeling a certain way. It's crazy to me, our society, and I have just seen so many people's feedback by sharing our lives so publicly and getting so much commentary back, and it just blows me away, and it makes me really sad for certain people's upbringing, that they were brought up either in a really sad situation or just not taught well of how they can just be so disgruntled, and how their opinion matters so much, and how they can just poo-hoo someone else's feelings. When I say I would like to grow our family, like, why do people have to come after me and tell me how that shouldn't be something that I want? That how dare I? And it blows me away that we aren't encouraging of each other, that we don't lift each other up. That's why Phillip and I, so sorry, jumping on a soapbox. That's why Phillip and I are so just passionate about that's why Phillip and I are just so passionate. I will say it again, and it's such a bummer because we have been saying this for a while, but we really are trying our hardest to get it all set in place to start having conferences, because we want to meet in person. I'm just going to say it. I said that kind of willy-nilly on the beginning of this video. I'll say it now at the end for the people who stuck with me all the way. We want to do conferences to be with people face-to-face, one-on-one. We feel like we want healing, we want breakthrough, we want marriages restored. We just have a passion for people. And so, anywho, all that to say, people might share in the comments of, you should just be grateful for the kiddos you have. I will say it again, and I will say it with a little cheeky grin on my face this time. I have told you guys 100 times, I am so grateful. I'm absolutely grateful. So a little background story I didn't share at the beginning. We have 3 girls. We are very blessed. We have 2 that came to us through adoption, and our 3rd came to us through IVF. And so yes, we are very blessed. And if this is all the children God has for us, so be it. And we are so thankful. But while I'm in a fertile time of my life, ironic to say, being infertile, but during the younger years of my life, I am going to try to grow our family. And if we get to the point where, okay, I'm past the age and I'm not going to conceive anymore, then that's going to be the family that we have, unless we choose to keep going with other options, with adoption. Anyways, I guess part of this is a little bit of an apology for shutting down a little bit, not being as vulnerable, not sharing as much. But I think it's there's only so many comments that you can kind of get where you kind of are like, okay, if you're going to be rude to me, then I don't really want to share about that. I don't want to be intimate with you. I don't want to be vulnerable with you if this is not a safe space. And maybe you guys can help me with some feedback. Do you feel like conferences would be a safe place where we can be vulnerable again? We used to go to a conference called Choose Joy, and it was an infertility and adoption conference, and I believe that they are not running anymore. I think just they shut down a couple years ago. I'll have to double check on that. If they start again, I would encourage anybody, any conference. I just feel like there's such a blissful, wonderful Me Too moment when you go to one of those conferences. When we went to our homestead conference, it was called a homestead festival. We had so many Me Too moments. Now it's on a different topic. It's on homesteading. It's something we're super passionate about. We're super passionate about regenerative agriculture. And so hopefully, eventually, conferences can be maybe leaning towards health, which is, to me, such a big part of growing your family and infertility and just being a healthy person all around. But, whew, proud of you. Anybody who stuck through it. Okay, if you stuck through this whole video, maybe write the word orange juice in the comments, and people will be so confused of why in the world is someone writing orange juice on a video. Or maybe any kind of emoji, just coffee, tea, any kind of little drink emoji. That would be cute. I'm sorry I dragged my feet in sharing this knowledge that we got, and we are excited that there was improvement. I really wish that there was more improvement with the motility, but I'm hopeful. I don't know. I'm excited what's to come. There is a little bit more hope for the options that we have to grow our family. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for your love and support that have supported us, encouraged us, have loved on us. That 1% of negative comments aside, 99% of you are so incredible, so amazing, so uplifting, so encouraging, such a light for Jesus for so many of you. And I love that. I love that we have that little pocket here on YouTube that has that encouragement. And so I love you guys. You guys are wonderful. We are trying our hardest to figure out how we can get back together. Maybe we should start up with a Nashville meetup. Anybody in the Nashville area want to do a quick little meetup? Maybe we can talk some little gardening. Maybe we should do a little seed swap. Anybody want to do a little seed swap? Anyways, love you guys. We'll see you guys in our next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go let your love multiply. Bye guys.